In our presentation, we're going to be questioning the ethics of hospitality organizations that assert their faith into the workplace. We're also going to be highlighting the opposing views of such behaviors. Our country is becoming more religiously diverse, and we must be aware that all people do not share the same exact beliefs. In fact, individuals are so unique in their thinking that religious conformity and the need for diversity is starting to cause conflict and disrupt a healthy working environment. Many people practice different religions and come from various backgrounds, so it is important to be mindful about forcing views on others, as they will only have a negative impact. Although there is no correlation between religion and the workplace is not an appropriate place for people to show their faith. Frequent connections are made through faith and common beliefs. However, hospitality organizations should not promote only one religion throughout the workplace because it can cause conflict between employees with opposing beliefs. Hospitality organizations should look out for the best interests of their guests, internally and externally, to make sure that a common ground of happiness is obtained for everyone. Religion should not be connected to the workplace based on the theoretical theory of altruism.
According to the Pew Research Center, Christians are declining as a share of the U.S. population, and the number of U.S. adults who do not identify with any organized religion has grown. They continue, while the U.S. remains home to more Christians than any other country, the percentage of Americans identifying as Christian dropped from 78% in 2007 to 71% in 2014. By contrast, the religiously unaffiliated have surged 7 percentage points in that time span to make up 23% of the U.S. adults last year. Increased diversity in America has resulted in a greater number of individuals that practice religions other than Christianity. With the shifts taking place in American culture, more and more are choosing to not affiliate with any religion at all. With these changes, it is becoming necessary to provide reasonable accommodation for individuals to live according to their beliefs. Lorne Sossin cites in one of his articles, religious freedom includes both the freedom to express religious beliefs and the freedom from having the beliefs of others imposed. Hospitality organizations are beginning to recognize the central role that religion plays in its employees' lives. These organizations are choosing to engage and develop intentional policies surrounding the intersection of faith and work. Effective companies harness positive dimensions of various traditions while avoiding conflictual aspects. They seek to create a culture of respect, diversity, inclusion, and tolerance. A company that implements these ideas have less lawsuits and greater employee satisfaction. Although there is a greater trend in inclusion and tolerance, some organizations continue to assert their faith and ideals. These companies aren't necessarily breaking any laws by applying their beliefs to their leadership tactics, but it doesn't mean it is ethical. These companies' practices seek to promote leaders' self-interests. Some ideals may be unintentionally imposed, compromising the beliefs of others. The consequence-based theory of altruism states that actions are moral if their primary purpose is to promote the best interests of others. From this perspective, a leader may be called on to act in the interests of others, even when it runs contrary to his or her own self-interests. This theory supports our conclusion that it is unethical for hospitality organizations to assert their faith in the workplace. Instead, it supports that leaders have an ethical duty to promote what is best for all, even if it is contrary to their beliefs.
Faith is becoming an increasingly opposing issue in the workplace, forcing hospitality managers to balance their respective interests of employees, coworkers, and patrons of their establishments. Faith-avoiding companies have actively decided to avoid topics related to faith or religion. The adversarial stance represents those organizations who seek to nullify personal or community expressions of faith at the workplace. Faith is seen as inappropriate for the workplace and irrelevant to business. companies who operate from a faith-avoiding standpoint sees faith at work as problematic, adversarial, and counterproductive. With the increase of diverse religious groups grows in our society, conflict between religious practice and job performance becomes stickier, more complex, and more challenging for all supervisors in all fields. Entrepreneurs practice their faith through their companies. Chick-fil-A is a typical and great example of a counter argument. They are a faith-based company who claim their faith to be broad and diverse, but play contemporary Christian music in all their restaurants and make sure that all restaurants are closed on Sunday, which is the Christian Sabbath day. This is a problem for people who do not practice the same faith and who may want to work on Sundays. In the faith-based model, the faith of the founders or owners is woven into day-to-day operations of the company. Therefore, the CEO could be very open about his or her faith in corporate communications and may sometimes hold Bible studies and prayer groups within their workplace. Executives and interlaced religion practices into business itself are ultimately influencing the company, whether it be Christian, Jewish, Buddhist, or secular. The faith-based model can work well with some companies. However, there are some challenges that can cause some problems within the company. For example, if there are employees who do not share the same faith of the CEO, cannot feel included among others within the company because of diverging religious views. It becomes difficult for CEOs to know if employees are expressing genuine interest in the CEO's faith or if they're just doing what it takes to receive a promotion or better work opportunities. Genuine space is needed for those who disagree with the religion views of the owners and is often an unintended consequence of the building faith-based companies.
Is the fact that there's a shift in American culture and religion. There's factual evidence to show a decline in the number of Americans that do identify as Christian, and statistics portray more trends that the country has become far more diverse in religion's practice, and there's a significant rise in atheists. But despite this trend, many companies like Chick-fil-A and Marriott still continue to assert the Christian faith into the workplace. So the foundation of our argument against these companies that do mix religion in the workplace is the altruism theory. And the consequence-based theory of altruism states how the leaders of these companies should act in the best morals of their employees, even if this best interest goes against the company's Christian beliefs. The main assumption supporting this argument is that individuals who do not identify as Christian are bothered by companies exerting the Christian faith into the workplace. It's only logical to assume that individuals who practice another religion would not want the Christian faith in the workplace, and it's also logical to assume that individuals who are atheists would also not want the Christian faith in the workplace. Building on that, there's another assumption that the best interests of the employees within the companies that assert faith in the workplace is not the current policy related to faith. A definite factor of the altruism theory is the ethical theory for leaders of the company to do what's best for everyone. And despite substantial evidence to oppose integrating religion in the workplace, it is still an assumption that a majority of employees' best interests within a company would be separating religion and the workplace. The counter-argument based on this assumption is that a majority of employees actually would benefit from integrating religion in the workplace. This could be based on the assumptions that religion would give employees a greater meaning while at work, help connect employees who associate with the religion, and employees would act more ethical because of it. But these assumptions can be shot down by the facts that the United States is becoming increasingly diverse in religion's practice. Employees cannot find meaning, connect, or act ethical based on a religion that they do not associate with. Employees can find meaning at work too that doesn't involve a spiritual entity. They can connect and associate with other employees based on common similarities that do not involve religion as well, and they can act ethical at work based on their own morals and the company policies.
Implications. Diversity among employers and employees puts people from various origins, socioeconomic backgrounds, cultures, and colors into the same workplace environment. Combining a number of personalities and assorted belief systems while aligning company goals inevitably brings challenges to the business as well as the people they are responsible for leading. If a company fails to promote diversity and acceptance of all faiths, there are going to be religious dispositions and questions of what is right or wrong coming from internal and external guests. As stated previously, companies should treat its employees in an altruistic manner, selflessly devoting management to serve employees with an objective mindset.
Forcing religious beliefs or requiring employees to follow a specific practice can bring a heavily disruptive element into the workplace and teeter on the lines of unlawful behavior. Asserting faith in the workplace and rejecting candidates of different belief systems could be seen as discrimination. According to the Journal of Legal, Ethical, and Regulatory Issues, data compiled by the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, the EEOC, indicates the religious discrimination claims against employers have increased from 1,811 in fiscal year 1999 to 3,386 in fiscal year 2009, with monetary awards rising from $3.1 million to $7.6 million. As shown in the data, with an increase in violations more than double the amount the decade prior, companies can face significant fines for promoting one type of religion as opposed to encouraging religious freedom and cultural diversity. Narrow-minded religious conformity and lack of understanding of differences may limit career advancement, personal interactions, job satisfaction, and mentorship opportunities. Since hospitality companies are beginning to recognize the central role that religion plays in its employees' lives, and faith is becoming an increasingly opposing issue in the workplace, it is essential that companies act in the best interest of all of its employees. Enforcing policies that dilute individual religious identifications and promote the principles of altruism throughout the organization is a concrete way to build stability, encourage employee engagement, create a culture of diversity, and ensure that all employees are treated fairly and consistently in all of their workplace interactions.